Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Allison. I'm from Foresight Institute, and for those that might not know what Foresight is, which might be many of you, we are a nonprofit that advances AI, bio, nanotech, and neurotech, especially frontier technology for positive futures. We give grants, prizes, fellowships, workshops, you name it. And we have a pretty decentralized approach to AI and technological development. And this is partly a historical accident, I would say, because we had a lot of overlap with the early cypherpunks and the early extropians. Who here knows what extropianism was or the cypherpunk movement was? Okay, so you will like this slide then. This is from an Extropy magazine in 1995, where different people in the Foresight community and beyond were predicting on technology development. And we had everything from frozen organ transplants to human level AI. And you had Nick Szabo predicting together with Mark Miller, who's a senior fellow at Foresight, with Eric Drexler, who co-founded Foresight. And so people were very early on at Foresight thinking about how can we have really ambitious technological futures, but how can we have them in a decentralized yet positive way. So we've been at this for a while, since 1986. So a few years ago, I got together with the co-founder of Foresight and the person who coined the term open source software, Christine Peterson, and Mark Miller, an early cypherpunk. And we wrote a book basically on like laying out a coherent vision of more how could positive AI and technological development look like in the long term, right? Because it's sometimes hard to imagine. It's hard to imagine technologies that, or like futures that have both high freedom and high technology. I think we can imagine one of them, but both together is difficult. So I want to tell you a little bit about, what we pretty much landed on, because it evolves, or like it really influences a lot of the grants that we're giving, the fundraising that we're doing, and really like the prizes and programs that we have at Foresight. And I think it's kind of pretty relevant for AI development. So let's just think about it from an AI lens, right? We're going to bracket out all the other technologies that we're doing for now. But on one flip side, for AI development, on the centralized side, you have the centralized paradigm of a world government or an AGI singleton that dominates the world, ensuring stability via tight surveillance and control, right? That's like one pretty crass extreme. The other one, well, we at least know what the problems with this one are, right? Like we have stagnation, like, like basically like no progress at all. We have value lock-in, like totalitarian value lock-in. We have internal power abuse, like it's often called the worst rise to the top. Once you have centralized systems, you have like, like a competition to rise to the top in them. You have external attack, single point of accident failure, first strike instabilities. That's a big one. We're currently not in that world. So if we're trying to get to a very centralized world, there might be others that are trying to prevent it. So we know the problems with these systems, right? That's why we're all here, I guess. Right? Do we know the problems? Yes? Okay, yeah, I see nodding. Good. Now, how about decentralized AI futures? For example, networks of humans and AIs that compose their local knowledge into the collective evolving superintelligence of civilization. Brandon already like laid out that future a little bit, but I think we can't just like pretend that there's no problems with this, right? There's problems with that too. We have some risk, for example, like small kills all risk from like proliferation of like nano, bio, cyber attack. There's instability dynamics of like offense versus defense. There are Moloch traps and coordination failures. We can't just pretend that there's no problems here. We need to also address them. So we got to work to like, what does the future look like that like builds a decentralized world, but nevertheless addresses the problems with these decentralized systems that they have. Okay, how might this look like? So let's talk about a few ways in how AI might, or and how decentralization openness might tame AI, but also unleash the incredible beauty that AI has to offer for us, because we have really amazing futures in store for us. Okay, let's start here. This one is the first one that I really love. Has anyone here heard of SEL4 before? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Now hands are going up. Okay, SEL4 is really my favorite example to point out the benefits of the principle of least authority and other like decentralization principles. It's basically a provably secure microkernel that also withstood a DARPA red teaming attack. And it's one of the very few systems that was able to do so when it was implemented in autonomous systems. So here you see it implemented. And the cool thing is that it did that through principles of decentralization. So the SEL4 microkernel basically achieves really strong separation between the entities that make it up, including processes, threads, virtual machine. Like it's all pretty decentralized and separated within the kernel. It also relies on this principle of polar. Who has heard of polar before? Principle of least authority. It basically means that for any one system or subcomponent of a system only has access to the minimum capability that it requires to do a job. So you don't just want to grant access permission to everything across the board, but you want to separate and decentralize systems even within systems that you're building as much as you can. And so these principles are really beautifully enshrined in the SDL4 microkernel, and it works really well. It's one of the few systems that can claim this feat. Next one up, open bug bounties for red teaming. Like, this is another real benefit of doing things out in the open and in a decentralized way. I think failures in AI, they will likely first be engineered by an adversary. And I think open AI development, like actually open AI development, really benefits because the more you develop things in the open, the more you have the collective intelligence of civilization that can red team the products that you're creating, right? You not only rely on your own engineers or on like specific red teamers that you hired, but you have everyone now, and they're for free, pretty much. They're trying to break in. And I think no system does that better than the crypto ecosystem, because there, if you actually manage to break in, you often get to actually keep the bounty, right? Many such projects that had like a tiny little flaw where a lot of money was circumvented, and we never saw it again. And so I think we can really take inspiration from the crypto ecosystem, because they're like insecure projects and insecure crap dies visibly and very quickly. So let's try to use some of that for building better and more secure AI systems. And Ethereum has this bug bounty program, for example, that's pretty awesome. Here, like it's they're doing it in a actually incentivized way rather than relying on hackers to break in. But I think we need to do more of that, and that's the power of decentralized open systems. Last but not least, on how can we tame AI with more decentralization, is this perhaps a little bit more complicated example to grasp, but I think it's actually really interesting if you think about it. So it's a blog post from 2017, so it's a while ago, but I still haven't seen a system that actually implements this really well. But Andrew Trask, who's at this fantastic organization, OpenMind, he basically trains a homomorphically encrypted neural network on unencrypted data. So this basically means that the intelligence of the neural network itself is protected from theft. And this is awesome for the first reason, because valuable AI systems, they can now be trained in insecure environments. They can't be stolen. So that means that I can collaborate with other people that I don't necessarily trust. And we can collaborate like on data sources towards common outputs without having to centralize into one entity. And that's pretty amazing, right? And then the second benefit is, if you care about AI risks from AI systems themselves breaking out, is that if an AI system is actually encrypted and can only make encrypted predictions, then to it, the world seems encrypted. And so it's pretty much cryptographically boxed, one could say. And as long as a human controls the key, it can decide whether to unlock the entire AI itself or just individual predictions. So this is hard to do. I'm not claiming that homomorphic encryption is here today in this way, but like we need to start building systems like that if we want decentralized, secure cooperation on the long run. Okay, so this is all like, how can decentralization actually tame AI? Now, we're also here because we're really excited about AI, I figure. So where is decentralization actually uniquely good at bringing out the best in AI systems? Well, this one is a paper basically on open source cooperation agents. So I think one thing that we all know, or we think we know, is like this year will be the year of the agents in one way or the other. But this one is an interesting one because it's a paper that explores open source agents. And so what's interesting about them is that they can read each other's source code. And so that means that they can actually check how an agent will respond to their request. So that means it enables very different cooperative scenarios than if you and I were trying to cooperate. If I'm going to give you a deal and you tell me you will cooperate, I have no clue if you actually will. You're opaque to me. I can't look into your head. But actually, like being able to check whether or not another agent will, what they will do upon your reaction, upon your action, is pretty amazing. And it allows us to possibly build much more cooperative institutions. And you could like really imagine this as an agent economy, right? Like, what if you have different AI agents that, act on your behalf? They go out there into the world. They negotiate and commit and find different preferred deals on your behalf and commit to them. And like, I think we need to build more systems like this. This is possible today, but I haven't seen any good ones yet. If you're working on one of them, we're desperate to fund more work in this area. Please come talk to me. Okay. This one is, again, another really interesting one that I also haven't really seen out in the world. If you know of systems like this or are building it, please let me know. So this is from Ali Yahya. He was at A16Z, and he was basically discussing that, okay, let's say AI has this like unique advantage that at least centralized AI is pretty good at like big data, but crypto is really, really good at actually incentivizing people to contribute local knowledge for edge cases. And AI, or like, centralized AI sucks at that, right? Like, it doesn't really do the long tail problems really well, and it can't really get to a lot of the localized knowledge that's often really important for edge cases. So how about, and this is very speculative, but hear me out, you embed a neural net into a smart contract to create this two-sided marketplace where on the supply side, you have people that, that are paid to contribute data that only they have, local data, to the neural net. And on the demand side, developers can pay to use the net as an API, right? That's just an example. It's not impossible to build. People could build it already. Like, there's nothing stopping anyone from trying. And the cool thing is, and this is not from him, this is what I added, but like, if you add privacy tech to it, hypothetically, right? Like differential privacy, homomorphic encryption, anything like that, then you might unlock the contribution of sensitive data like healthcare data or financial data, because that's the data that centralized AI cannot touch, right? Like, legally, it's not allowed to make sense of your private data, your financial data and your healthcare data, but in these encrypted ways through decentralized contributions on specific areas, we might be able to unlock entirely new use cases that are totally hidden to centralized AI systems. So we have to think about what's our comparative advantage in the decentralized AI landscape here, and that's possibly one of them. Okay, this is my second to last one on the positive side, which is actually OpenAI for automated R&D. So who has heard of Brain GPT here? Anyone? Okay, I see a few hands. So it's basically a really fantastic effort that is an open source model that is already better at suggesting and predicting outcomes of some neuroscience experiments than humans. And it's a volunteer-run project started by Bradley Love out of Imperial. It's absolutely fantastic. And it's open source. It's out there for you. Another one that we're going to hear about later today, so you should absolutely come back or stay for Sam Rodriguez's talk from Future House. And they just published an open source paper QA that can answer questions across biology papers. And it's really awesome. Who has tried it before? The paper QA from, okay, no one. Okay, well, you should absolutely go out and try it. It's awesome. But the cool thing about these science projects is, or this open source science project, is that maybe we can have, instead of one deep research tool that like goggles up all the information, we can have actually specialized science agents that might outperform generalized AI systems, leading to more intelligence decentralization over time. So you have this economy in which different decentralized science agents kind of slot in to help with scientific progress, rather than like one system that can do them all. Okay, last but not least, on the positive side, this one is open source science for the win. In 2024, last year, the Nobel Prize was awarded to David Baker for his work on computational protein design, and that was 10 years after he won our Feynman Prize. So we were earlier with it, but nevertheless, he eventually got the Nobel Prize. And he got it for a system called Rosetta. And that's an open source software suite that hundreds of labs worldwide are already using, and that can predict and design protein structures. Some are entirely unknown to nature at this point. So it was awesome. And the other part of the Nobel Prize was awarded to AlphaFold for protein structure predictions as well. And that is mostly open source, but some access to the model weight is apparently restricted to scientists with academic affiliations. They probably are worried about biorisks to some extent. But like, it's not a bad example. And like, those projects are not toy projects, right? Like, they literally won a Nobel Prize last year. So I think we're on a really good trajectory. Like, if you're building out in the open, if you're building open AI tools, I think you're like on a pretty good path. This will only get better because open source wins over time. At the beginning, it's harder, but it wins over time. Okay, so we're not only philosophizing about these things, we're funding a lot of this work too. So I just pointed out, in case a few of you are working on this stuff and are looking for funding, we give $5 million in annual grants, specifically in the areas of AI security and cryptography, multipolar and multi-agent AI, automated research and forecasting, brain-computer interfaces, and whole brain emulation, an area that's very close to our heart, but I didn't really have much time to go into it, but ask me about it. It's our fastest growing track. And then we give smaller grants in bio and nano that started today in anything from a replacement, biostasis, molecular 3D printing, etc. And I really want to give a shout out to Protocol Labs and a few others here in this room that have really helped us launch a lot of these grants and have been fantastic partners in this. So thanks a lot. We'd really love to co-fund with other organizations. So if you're a funder in this room and you're like, hey, yeah, those are areas I also care about, feel free to talk to me. There's a lot more projects out there than we can possibly fund, and they often don't require very much funding at all. We have a fellowship that's been going on for 7 years, and yeah, our fellows, many of them are under 21 years old, and those people are absolutely fantastic. I think we're fine. The next generation is totally set. But if you're in this area and you just want mentorship, fundraising, matchmaking, etc., that might be for you as well. And then last but not least, if you're really into the frontier stuff and want to like de-risk more of these frontier areas like AI security, whole brain emulation, AI for longevity, molecular 3D printing, we have 6 technical annual workshops of about 60 people where we like incubate new projects that are trying to make progress at the frontier. Feel free to come find me or look them up on our website. We have the next one on AI for bio coming up in May. And they're really awesome because they tell us what we should be doing more of, and they're quite wild. Okay, well, that's all from me. If you're interested in applying to any of this, please do so. If you're interested in co-funding some of these projects, please do so. If you're interested in just telling me, hey, look, these projects actually already exist, then please definitely do so because I would be delighted. And thank you so much. And I'm like so excited to be a tiny part of this like growing decentralized AI space. I think what Prime Intellect is doing is absolutely fantastic. I'm super excited to see you guys flourish. And yeah, I couldn't be more excited right now. Thanks.